watching this video on the day it comes out, I encourage you to go check out the community tab on my channel, because I am currently gathering your bold predictions for sports in 2024. So, still got a little bit of time left to go and voice your opinion. That way it'll be on record, and when it comes true and you're right, we'll have proof. But I will sort of gather the comments on that post for the next video, so watch out for that. In today's video, we're back with another Sporcle quiz. So this one here sounds like a fun one, and it is Big Four Teams by Cancelled Stadium. Can you name the Big Four teams that proposed these never-built stadiums? And it was created by Mr. Saturn 64. Thank you, Mr. Saturn, for creating this for us. Now, the one thing that I'm doing different this time around is that instead of using the Sporcle timer, we are going to go into practice mode, because I want us to have a little more time, make this one a little bit more relaxing, and that way we can sort of talk through the stadiums as we're doing the quiz, rather than to just sort of rush through it and then look at them again. So let me know what you think of this format. The average score on this one was 10 out of 20. So it sounds like it could be a little bit tough, but I don't know if it's fair to try to beat average when we're giving ourselves a lot of time to think and chat and all of that. So I'll leave that up to you, but I still hope we can get at least 10, especially given the no time limit. So since we're not in any rush, let's go and push play quiz. Now, do I need to... Okay. So we get a little bit of context, which is good. And this first one says, when a beloved East Coast team planned to move out west in the 50s, a dome was proposed as an alternative over 10 years before the Astrodome. Okay, now I feel like the Astrodome is a bit of a red herring here. I think it's being mentioned because wasn't the Astrodome like the first domed stadium in the United States? I don't think I'm going to say in the world, but the United States feels fair. I'm sorry, I have a squirrel just out my window being weird. So the key here should be a beloved East Coast team that planned to move out west in the 50s. And just based on the stories that we've covered so far on this channel, I'm going to go ahead and say that this was intended for the Dodgers. So let's try that. Perfect. Even though we're doing house rules this time, we're doing things a little different, I'm still going to remove -1 from my final score, just between you and I, at the end of all of this. So I'm still trying to get the right answer on the first go, because I think this is another one of those quizzes where you can just name all of the teams and not be penalized and not be sort of like disqualified or anything like that. So number 2, this MLB team has made several attempts to leave their hometown. This San Jose Stadium proposal is one of the nicer plans. Now, I don't know if there's any team currently playing at Cisco Field. It sounds kind of familiar, but maybe it's just because Cisco is such a big name. And this would have been a San Jose stadium, so it sounds like, looking at the architecture, I mean, it's mountainous in the background. It's a city area, but I don't recognize the skyline in any sense. And there's like that back brick wall, which is interesting to me, because you would assume that that would have been like the purpose, like maybe those would be their offices or something, but I'm assuming they were building this from scratch. But the point here is that it's an MLB team that has made several attempts to leave their hometown. And the first team that comes to mind in this case is the Athletics. So let's try that. Cool. Okay. 2 out of 2 ain't bad. In anticipation of their move in 2012, okay, this NBA team nearly got a Frank Gehry designed arena with a skyscraper on top. Now, 2012 would have been the Nets, wouldn't it? And I think that kind of, I think Frank Gehry is a Canadian, but I think he's got a few buildings in New York. I feel like during the pandemic, I feel like I heard, like I read a story or watched a documentary or a news report or something about how there was a Gehry building in New York that was like dramatically vacant, and meanwhile people were like being forced into homelessness. So it would make sense for him to be in New York and Brooklyn, but even then I'm overthinking it. Move in 2012, NBA team, the Brooklyn Nets. Fantastic. There was a plan in the 1970s for these two teams to move to the suburbs and share a retractable roof. The football team built a dome there. The baseball team stayed put. So I guess, okay, so this is a team, a city that has a football team in the suburbs and a baseball team, and this is Big Four, so this is an MLB team in the city. And that's an interesting concept. Instead of building two domes, they decided to just build one dome that would share a retractable roof. It looks like it's just meant to, retractable, okay. At first glance I was thinking it would slide to like between one end and the next, if you know what I mean. But now that I've reread it, I understand that it's sort of expanding and retracting. Okay, interesting concept. In the 70s, that kind of makes sense to me. I don't know who this could be though, so I'm gonna skip it for now, and maybe we'll have one final go at the end of the ones we skip. See if anything sort of comes to mind. 10 years later, so in the 80s, a similar plan was proposed where two teams in another Midwestern city would share a roof. Okay. I get very confused about what the Midwest is. And if you're new to the channel, I might sound American, but I'm not American, so it's excusable. But when I think of the Midwest, I think of Chicago. So I don't know if I should shoot my shot with Chicago, but they say another Midwestern city. So that would mean that the previous one, number 4, is also Midwestern. If we're talking Chicago for either of them, I can't imagine. Wait a second, what am I talking about? Who plays at Wrigley? Okay, let's just skip this one again for now. Okay. This Canadian NHL team has been seeking a new arena for almost 10 years. The most recent proposal was approved in 2023. My first thought here is the Senators, because they've been talking about wanting to move into the city for a long time, and this does look like somewhat of an urban arena. That being said, the most recent proposal was approved in 2023, and with the change in ownership this year, I doubt, unless it was like part of their proposal to buy the team, or maybe it was their proposal to buy the team, because I was gonna say the other thing I'm thinking of is Calgary, because I know that there's been problems with the Saddle Dome. I started talking myself out of the Senators and then talked myself back into the Senators. But a new arena for almost 10 years. Oh, I'm flipping back and forth between the Senators and the Flames. I don't think that a proposal was approved for Ottawa in 2023. Maybe a proposal was made with the new owner but not approved, so I'm just gonna go with the Flames here. Good stuff. Okay. Labatt Park was the name given to two different proposals for this MLB team in the late 90s, early 2000s. It never got built, and they moved. To Labatt. It has to be, that's Montreal, isn't it? I mean, Labatt is immediately making me think Montreal. Some of those buildings absolutely look like some buildings I've seen before. I don't know what that big concrete thing is to the right, but I'm confident in saying, I should write the Expos. Yeah, okay. We're doing okay so far. We're 5 for 7. We're on track. But I do feel like there's 4 and 5 were tough, so I don't know where this is going. With Colonial inspired architecture. With Colonial inspired architecture, this stadium was proposed before the team's current stadium was built next to the old one. Right, so I was at Yankee Stadium, I guess last year now, and I know that that stadium was built right next to / on top of the previous stadium, and that looks like the Empire State Building, right? But this looks like a more recent. When was Yankee Stadium rebuilt? In any case, this is the National League, and I'm pretty sure that the Yankees are in the American League. So what is that? What is that skyline? Well, Colonial-inspired architecture is making me think Philadelphia, right? Oh wait, is that a P? You see like the dugout, the far dugout? That kind of looks like it says Phillies, doesn't it? Let me try this. I think the Phillies are in the National League. Feeling good, feeling good. Interesting one. Okay. We're in a dense city. We're in a green city. Well, green meaning northern or eastern. Intended for the 2012 Olympic bid, West Side Stadium would have turned into the full-time home of this NFL team once the games was over. I think New York had the bid for 2012. So the Jets or the Mets. I think the Mets. I mean, the Mets have MetLife, but not the Mets, the Giants. What am I saying? The Giants have MetLife, don't they? So maybe they would try to bring them in to the city, but West Side Stadium. There's nothing telling us. I mean, there's a little bit of green on the signage to the right of the stadium. I'm gonna try the Jets on this one. Oh, heck yeah. Okay. As a last-ditch effort to save the team, National Car Rental Field was proposed for the Waterfront in 2016. I was gonna say that there's green in the stadium, which could help. But now that I'm having a second look, I think that's just the color of National Bank, or National Car Rental, isn't it? Okay, last-ditch effort to save the team in 2016. Is that the St. Louis Arch in the back? It would make sense for it to be the Rams. Perfect. Okay. Many of these were planned to prevent a team from moving. This one was proposed to win this former NBA team back. The city's new NHL team did not build this. Okay. This is a modern look. So this is a city that potentially has an NBA team. But it was never built, so maybe they don't. But they do have an NHL team. Which, of course, they didn't build this because this is canceled stadium. Okay. I'm seeing green on that player, but I don't think it's Milwaukee because Milwaukee, I guess something else that confuses me about American geography is the Milwaukee, Minneapolis. Are those the Twin Cities? And then Minnesota is a state, I think. Minnesota is definitely a state, I think. Oh my god, okay. This stadium would have been designed in the last 20 years, right? I don't think it's Las Vegas. I'm thinking now of NHL teams that came around in the last 20 years. I can't think of an old Las Vegas NBA team. Could be the Kraken. The Supersonics were green, weren't they? What else? I mean, before that it would be the Wild, which Minnesota. But the Timberwolves are playing and they're not in green. Or the Blue Jackets. Well, that's not 20 years ago. But Columbus basketball. I'm gonna go with the Supersonics here. Cool. Okay. Wow. Okay, so we're going in a complete different direction with this. Because this looks like it was drawn on a napkin. So maybe we're going back to like the 50s, 60s, that sort of era. Let's see what it says though. 2 fields, a baseball field and a football field. The stands themselves move through the waters of Mission Bay, depending on who needs them. So we're not moving the roof here, we're moving the stands, which seems so impractical. I understand why this never happened. But notably, there are palms and there's a boat on the water, I think. But, okay, which team, I don't know Mission Bay, but which team would have had a bay, like which city with an MLB team and an NFL team are near a bay? I feel like it has to be along the California coast or maybe like Florida. So who do we have? We have the 49ers, but I'm pretty sure that bay is the San Francisco Bay and not Mission Bay. Who else would we have? Los Angeles, Miami, Tampa. Yeah, I'll come back to this one because I feel like I don't have enough information. Okay. Years after years of playing too far from the city, this NFL team once planned to move to a city in a different state that is technically within the jurisdiction of their namesake. I don't know if I understand the question. After years of playing too far from the city. Okay. This NFL team once planned to move to a city in a different state from where they were playing that is technically within the jurisdiction of their namesake. If we're talking about like the place that the team is named, let me put it that way. The only team I can think about right now that's not named after a city or a state is New England. Right? So it would make sense if we mean New England here, it would make sense if the Patriots were planning to move from Foxborough to another state within New England. So I'm gonna go with the Patriots. Cool. God, yeah, I didn't understand that question, but we got there. When first announced to join the MLB in the 90s, this team's stadium was going to come packaged with a World Trade Center. The MLB in the 90s, I think we had the Rays, the Pelicans, no. The Mariners, the Rockies, not the Rays, the Tampa Rays, maybe not. I'll come back to this one. A baseball/football stadium was proposed to be built literally over the Monongahela River, giving the actual ballpark's name a whole different meaning. I don't know that river. I cannot immediately think of a ballpark that would have a name that's like the river crossing stadium or something like that. So I'm not gonna get bogged down on this one. There's a lot of bridges wherever this is. There are flags that are maybe red and yellow and black. No. Let's keep moving. Similar to the pyramid in Memphis, this 25,000-seat arena was planned for this Midwest. Here we are again with the Midwest. Midwest NHL team, which would have been the league's biggest. Midwest. This feels relatively new, right? Like, I think this was built or planned in the year 2000 or later. And based on that, we've already done Seattle, I think. Yeah, we have, and Seattle's not in the Midwest, I don't think. It's just the West, isn't it? It's not Las Vegas. It's not in the Midwest, and Pyramid's already spoken for over there. Is it the Luxor? So I'm gonna go with the Blue Jackets on this one. Okay, good. Before getting a new arena in the same city, this NBA team sought an arena on a pier in the Bay. Bays in the Midwest is all we're getting. Well, I mean, that's the Golden Gate Bridge, isn't it? So, the Warriors. Yeah. An NFL stadium was once proposed in the city's central entertainment complex, already home to NBA, NHL, and a large convention center. Name the city. Farmers Insurance. I'm seeing the Staples Center there, so I feel comfortable saying Los Angeles. I think I'll just give a quick reset to my camera. Okay. The Omniplex was proposed for this Canadian city in the early 70s, hoping to lure an NHL team and hosting a CFL team. The public rejected it in an election. Name the city. Canadian hoping to lure an NHL team. So we don't know if they ever got the NHL team or the CFL team, but there aren't that many I don't want to say noteworthy cities, but like there aren't that many cities in Canada that have the population to support professional sports teams. That's what I'm trying to say. So in the 70s, we got the Canucks, the Jets, the Oilers, and the Nordiques. I'm going to eliminate the Canucks because I think they became a team in the early 70s, if not in 1970. So they would have been proposed sooner. Who else did I say? Winnipeg, Edmonton, and the Nordiques. I can't imagine there being a lot of interest in Quebec for a CFL team. I think the Alouettes only came later. So I'm gonna go with either Edmonton or Winnipeg, and I'm getting Edmonton vibes from this. Something about, I'm just gonna say how much interest was there really for Winnipeg in the 70s, but they got the Jets. And maybe the Jets left because they didn't have a stadium like this. I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to make up my mind before we get back to 19. Number 20. More conceptual than serious, there was a plan in the city to build a complex for an MLB, NFL, NBA, and NHL team. The city got 2 of them. Okay, let's think about this. Because this looks to me like a stadium that would have been designed. It has a very like Y2K futuristic spaceship vibe to it, right? Which was really sort of popular, at least in my lifetime, in the late 90s and early 2000s. Maybe there was an earlier wave of that, like in the late 60s when Americans, the space program was huge. But I don't know that it would have been designed like in 3D like this. I don't know that we had the capacity for this back then. So now I'm trying to think of a city that did not have any teams 30 years ago, but now have 2. And, well, technically, Las Vegas doesn't have a baseball team yet. They do have a football team and a hockey team. And I'm seeing a little bit of desert vibe. I don't know what that reddish... I'm seeing it as red soil at the bottom of the design, at the bottom of the photo. So I want to say Las Vegas, because otherwise, again, okay, so look, MLB, NFL, NBA, and NHL. What was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say. So I'm just gonna try Las Vegas. Oh, that's not how you write Las Vegas. Oh, that is. Okay, back to the Midwest, and now we'll just go through them quickly to see if anything sort of comes to mind. There was a plan in the 70s for these 2 teams. So, football team in the suburbs, baseball team in the city, and this is in the Midwest. Here are my options that I have in mind for the Midwest. Chicago, maybe like Michigan. So Michigan, Illinois, Ohio. So what's the other option? 10 years later, another Midwestern city would share a roof. Okay, let's think about this one for a second. A bay. So we've done San Francisco, and now I'm going to start operating, because I don't think we've had doubles yet, where like one team or one city is represented twice. I might be misremembering. But I'm going to operate under the assumption that there's only one proposed stadium per city. We've done San Francisco, we've done LA. So, Tampa, no. Did we decide that the Rays were a 90s team? Because I don't believe, unless this is literally some drunk guy that drew this on the back of a napkin, but I'm going to place this. I'm just going to say the quality is different because of the time zone that we're looking at. And the Rays came along in the 90s. So not them. Or I don't even know if they came along in the 90s. Same thing with Miami, right? Because I might be lying to myself, but I feel like the Miami Marlins only came about in the 90s. But I think that Houston is on a bay or has a bay. So, and Mission Bay sounds like it could be a Texas thing. So let's try the Houston. Oh, but the Astrodome. But this was older. So let's try the Houston. Let's try the Texans. No. Okay, so that's -1. It has to be somewhere warm, like it won't be along the coast in the north. Tampa, Miami, Houston, San Francisco, LA, San Diego. San Diego had the Chargers. Let me write the Padres. It was. Okay. Alright. When first announced to join the MLB in the 90s, this team's stadium was going to come packaged with a World Trade Center. I'm going to say not the Blue Jays because they joined really, really early. So is this Miami or is it Colorado? Colorado. What does it look like? I mean, it doesn't look very mountainous. So let's go with Miami. Oh, -2. Let's try the Rockies. Okay. Almost worth not trying a second guess. How does that math work out? I guess it is worth trying a second guess. Okay. Let's wrap this up. We only have 4 outstanding ones. Let's give them a guess each and then call it. So baseball. Oh yeah, this one I don't know. What city has a baseball team, a football team, a river? The ballpark's name thing is... I don't know enough to let that help me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to leave that one blank. Okay, I'm going to shoot with Edmonton on this one. Nice, okay. One last stab. We need to name 2 Midwestern cities that we haven't yet. So let's try the Bears here. -3. What else did I say I think is in the Midwest? Detroit? Okay. We're on -3. 10 years later is similar, so let's try the Bears here. Oh god, nice. Okay. I can't even think. I don't want to keep guessing and just getting more minuses. So I'm okay with ending it here, taking a final score of 16 on 20. I think that's a decent, respectable score. And let's find out what the heck this one is. Yeah, it's not going to be New York. Okay, let's find out. Oh, it's Pittsburgh. Okay, so the black and yellow makes sense. But the Pirates don't have... Are the Pirates red? I thought they were like yellow and black as well. interesting. Someone let me know in the comments what the reference is, because I can't think of where the Pittsburgh Pirates play. So I'm curious what the association with the ballpark name is. And very quickly, as usual, let's go into the quiz stats. So the average score, 51%. We got 95. Even with -3, we're in good business. We're still over 75. So Pittsburgh is actually like in the top half of most guessed, which is impressive. So there must really be something that makes it relatively obvious about the name of the stadium. The Oakland Athletics is the most correctly guessed one. It must have to do with the hint about the team trying to move out of town quite a few times. Then the Dodgers, which I think was the first one, and I found it relatively easy or obvious. And then Montreal, again, Labatt just gives it away. Seattle, okay, and then the least commonly guessed is Las Vegas. Interesting. Yeah, I would expect the NHL to maybe trick a lot of people because it's the least popular of the big four. So Edmonton, I got Las Vegas before I got Edmonton. The BJs, the Patriots. Yeah, the Patriots, I had to think. The clue confused me a little bit, but I got there. And then San Diego. Okay, very interesting. And on that note, I think we did okay. I think I'm happy with this result. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to go and comment on the community tab what your boldest, most unpopular prediction for 2024 is. And I'll see you in the next video.